Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to JP Broadcasting, and welcome into the League Zero Formula Series for round 6 of this season out at Autodromo Internazionale or Nazionale Monza here this evening. I'm your commentator Hamish, Munro, joined by Dean Biggles once again. Dean, at the Temple of Speed this evening, the home of European open wheel racing, one of the oldest racing circuits in the world. It's also one of the fastest racing circuits in the world as well. In Super Formulas for some cracking open wheel action here tonight. We've had some up and down racing over the last few weeks. You think about Long Beach 2 weeks ago, which was absolutely chaotic. And then last week at Sebring, which surprisingly was actually chaotic as well. And I feel tonight we may be in for a similar scenario because Monza being so high speed, it also marks the tick over of the second half of the season. But the fact that it's so high speed, hard braking zones, good passing opportunities, but ones where you've got to be fully committed into those chicanes, it's going to be a circuit that I think tonight is going to test the drivers, and it's going to put them on the ragged edge of how likely are they to be challenging for this championship. Because after last week, Fabian Sanchez has now equaled the top of the sheet with DBML. Both of them on 110. No, sorry, I can't read properly apparently this morning, Dean. Sanchez is up on 116 at the top of the sheet. DBML is on 110 in behind. A poor run in the last 2 weeks has cost him dearly. Jaden Callaway is at a poor run as of late, is on 91 points in P3, and then AJ Brenner and Felipe Sarkis is inside of the top 5 of the championship. So Sanchez has managed to take advantage over the last 2 weeks of DBML's mistakes. Will this run of form continue for him and for Amel? And that could cause the upset and maybe see Sanchez's championship hopes be flipped towards him in terms of the favourable driver for the title.
Anything can happen. Welcome everybody as well to Happy Anzac Day to yourself and fellow Australians and New Zealanders. A holiday in Australia. It's the weekend. It's a Friday actually. But Thursday in some necks of the woods around there at the Temple of Speed, Monza. Only 13 corners, my friend, but get it all right and you put in one of the fastest laps on any of the tracks anywhere in the planet.
Yeah, surprisingly, even in these cars, the lap's not actually too fast. I find the lap really gets quick when you are getting into obviously those real high speed cars like the Formula One car or even the prototypes. They're running about 128s in qualifying here at the moment. So we're on lap average with the likes of Phillip Island actually will probably run similar lap times next week. But you don't think of that circuit as a high speed circuit. So it's quite interesting how even if you put it into a different car, the track length then starts to take part. I mean, it's a 5 kilometer length circuit, so it's still actually relatively long, Dean. So these are still pretty quick laps, but only 1.5 minutes. So it means that it's going to be about easier for us to figure out any issues we have in pit lane with drivers, how far they're going to drop down when they take their pit stops, and how much work they're going to have to do tonight to battle this out. But it's going to be a tough night of racing for them. 2 races at the Temple of Speed. The dreaded Turn 1 chicane, Dean, which, after the last couple of weeks, I'm going to say it, it's going to be nuclear at Turn 1, I think. I feel it in my loins that Turn 1 is going to be a little bit chaotic. So hopefully drivers are going to get in there with a bit of, a bit of patience, hopefully.
Oh, keep an eye on Elliot as he's flying his way through a scurry. Absolutely flying at Elliot. Hands up from the steering wheel as well, too, going, whoa, because that could have been the time to beat Jaden Callaway's pole position currently at the moment. He's only 77 thousandths of a second there. Elliot was absolutely flying. Has he got time to bank out another lap? But,
he doesn't.
I was about to say, give us a lap guide around here, my friend, and that was one of how not to go through a scurry too quickly.
Yeah, it's it's such a difficult track, and you wouldn't think it is, but it has so many little nuances about it that actually challenge you as a driver. And for Jaden Callaway, he has managed to put the car on pole once again. Elliot Court, though, an incredible qualifying and a turnaround of performance for him. He's struggled in qualifying the last few weeks. Good to see him up in the front of things. We know he's got pace. Hopefully this pays off for him here tonight. Matthew Devine then out of P3 alongside Felipe Sarkis in P4. Nick Patterson will start alongside the championship leader Fabian Sanchez out of P6. AJ Brenner and James Turnbull in behind with Larry Johnson and Michael Fairchild for your top 10. Leo Delmar, Xavier Senna for the top 12. Jace Meyer, Shaji Zerhan, Julian Madore for the top 15. Nicholas Isidro, Gal Rolls. Turo Mayorga and Michael Briscoe make up the grid. And interestingly enough, there's no Adibe Mel on the grid here this evening. So what it means is when we head into Phillip Island next week, we're guaranteed at least to not have a Mel as the championship leader. Will it be Sanchez still? Well, he'll just have to keep it clean and get to the finish and get some points. And he should lead us out of Monza as the championship leader. But Callaway is the closest man who could possibly pip him for that championship lead.
It's all to play for at the moment. There is your weather at the moment. So it's cloudy without a chance of meatballs. 23-degree track temperature. Perfect day to go racing here at the Temple of Speed, waiting for a couple more drivers to line up onto the grid. The Tifosi will be going absolutely ballistic for the Sauber driver that's on pole, essentially. Of course, they're not powered by an Italian manufacturer on the car, but at least the livery looks good.
As the lights go up for the Temple of Speed, the pressure is on the drivers as the scramble towards turn 1 begins. Couple of poor starts further back in the field, but it's Callaway who has rocketed off the line to absolute perfection as we enter turn 1. For the very first time, there's a car up on the grass in the background already. That was one of those green GSI cars. And that there is Nicholas Isidro in the Benetton liveried car in the wall. So one car's already out of this race as we run down towards the second chicane here on lap number 1, but the pressure's on Callaway as Court wants the lead, but Callaway's going to try and hold the inside line at the chicane. Court goes around the outside. Here comes Callaway up the inside once again. The switch back to absolute perfection as we run through the double rights. Callaway takes the lead once again. Sarkis is right there. If these two tangle, Sarkis will take the lead, but the outside line, Court's off the road into the sand trap and dropping positions as we run down towards Ascari for the first time here tonight.
Just like that, from the penthouse to the outhouse there for Elliott, trying to bring it there. But we do have a new race leader, the Brazilian there, Felipe Sarkis in the lead there. Fabio Sanchez there, right up there. So Holloway dropping 2 places in that little first incident tangles.
So the championship leader lines up in behind his teammate Sarkis, who's been in the championship fight all season, but Callaway wants to duck it up the inside of the Parabolica on Sanchez here. Can he get this job done? Brenner's been up and down this season as well, but he wants to get himself a race win too. As we run back down the main straight towards turn 1, once again the overtake is on for Callaway. Myers made contact though, and it's massive damage on that car further back in the field as we enter the chicane once again. Brenner's starting to run, and he's absolutely drilled Felipe Sarkis out of the lead. Callaway now takes the lead with Devine and Court and Sanchez in behind. But the heart has to break for Sarkis, who unfortunately there, Dean, was a sitting duck to AJ Brenner.
Hard breaking into the turn 1. We know the turn 1 shenanigans. Just talk to Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen about that one. But wow, just like that. So Jaden's back into the lead. Matthew P2, Elliott P3. Oh, every battle tooth and nail is going on here at the moment at the Temple of Speed. You would expect it now as they go through the Lesmos.
As we run down towards Ascari, we can see the drivers who are using that overtake at the moment. And James Turnbull is one of them. So as we run into the braking zone in the fast-paced chicane, which has seen a lot of drivers get caught out over the years, when we saw Elliott Court get caught out in qualifying as well. But the pressure's now on. But for Callaway, it, you know, even through this pressure kind of subsiding, it's been, it feels like we've settled now. You know, lap 3, 6 laps to go roughly here, Dean, and the drivers now are having to push and fight their way forward as best they can.
Break,
just please get on the brakes, Elliott.
Gotta leave space, gotta leave the space, don't chop the nose off. Always tricky in the turn 1. And Elliott does get that P2 position that he eventually started the race on at the moment. Fabio Sanchez there battling it out with Matthew. Fabian up 2 places as well, too. The man leading the championship at the moment, looking to maximise points there because Jaden's up the road. He wants to catch him. Lap 3 down, almost about to start lap 4. There's the Benetton-esque livery, the Fujifilm sponsor on there as they do make their way through.
That one is the Jordan livery.
Yes, it is. So,
that's the early 90s Jordan car.
Well, Benetton became Jordan and that sort of jazz. That's right.
No, it didn't.
No.
It didn't. No, Benetton and Jordan raced at the same time.
I was going to Formula 1 Grand Prix before you were in nappies. No, you were right, actually, on that one. I'm just messing. Oof. What's happening for a little bit further back? The battle for the French drivers. Switcheroo and Xavier up 2 places currently at the moment. We've got a lot to look at the replays too, my friend. So if it does settle down, which, I don't know, temporal speed doesn't really settle down too often, mate.
No, it settles about as well as a rolling boil. At least it's consistent. That's what we can count on. But Brenna Meyer and Isidro out of race number 1. Of course, no fast repairs for these drivers, Dean. Once you're out, you're out. Luckily, they can still race in race number 2, but they're going to have all the work to do coming from the back of the field. As we run towards turn number 1, that is a very late dive, and that is never going to work out for Larry Johnson. Trying to dive it up the inside there. Has to go through the slowdown portion for the chicane, but you can see now Court back onto the rear of Callaway. The 2 drivers who qualified on the front row back onto the top 2 positions, and Court is currently the fastest man on track. His top speed, 306 kilometers an hour, so not the fastest down the straight, but the lap time is showing a 129.54 on the last lap. For Callaway, it was a 129.59. So there's only 500s in it, but they are still battling as Sarkis is gone. Yeah.
Oh, that's pulled off. That's damage from the earlier instance that we saw with Sarkis.
Yeah.
And going back to that earlier incident, that was the earlier incident. As you tree wide, my friend. You can kind of just picture what's going to happen here.
It was.
Well, it wasn't even his fault.
Probably smart. Yeah, probably smarter for Brennan not to go for that move from a suburb back. I think we could agree, Dean. I mean, it was a very, very late dive. I mean, he would have been better off braking at his normal braking point and then just staying alongside Callaway. I mean, you're never going to get it.
Yeah. Yep. Day late, dollar short on that one, as Mark Brundle would say. Back to the live pitches. We've got further action, of course. A little bit further back, there's more action into turn 1, as you'd expect. That's where you get your fold-up chair there, get yourself a 6-pack and some popcorn and enjoy the show as they try to throw those cars around. But Elliot's actually got past our race leader, so whilst we're looking at those replays, I have missed it, but
he's got some good pace in it. It was at 8:01.15 start of lap 5. They got it done into turn 1, it seems, or at least down the main straight, because they were going back and forth. But he set the fastest lap of the race, 128.88 last time by. Did get the top speed of 323 kilometers per hour on that last lap there. You see it inside of turn 1. Plenty of space given from Callaway. Court just got the drive through the corner. Job done. Now Callaway will hope to come back at him here towards the end of this race. But Court needs to be careful through Ascari. We saw him make the mistake in qualifying, which cost him the end of his lap, which may have cost him pole, but he seems to have actually got the pace here over Jaden Callaway. And it seems he's got his number here tonight, possibly, does the Englishman. So hopefully he can traverse around, keep this car in the lead. He's going to have 3 laps to the checkered flag, Dean, for him to hold on to P1 position on the road.
And the Kinless C, a little bit too far back here from Jaden. You'd have to be absolutely risking it for the biscuit if you're going to try to send one up the inside there. But there it is. So you can see the deployment as well too, as Elliot's trying to defend off a massive attack here for the Squid Gang Racing pole sitter, who's currently running in P2. Elliot, that almost, as we saw, went off there through Ascari, trying to set the fastest lap to steal it away from this man, but didn't quite get it done. And then Matthew, don't forget, further in the background is turning this chain, adding an extra kink to the train, is what I was looking for. P3.
Got a couple of chats out there with us as well. Harrison giving us a chat that we can't repeat.
Oh, I can. like that.
Indibe is in the. I didn't even hear the beep then, by the way, Dean. So
it's on the
it
stream.
did not come
It's
through. Okay. Indibe ML is in the chat with us as well. He's not racing this week. He's in there too. Why are there two setups for the race? No idea. No idea. Noddy. To be honest with you, not quite sure. AJ Brennett just said whoops.
Oops.
After that moment at turn 1. And then Ricky Espino, vamos! And then also said the Temple of Speed. So great to have you all watching with us for the League Zero Formula Series here for round 6 of the season. We've ticked over to the halfway point as Gal rolls in.
Is rolling on by?
Yeah, he's rolling on by.
Not really.
Rolling on by.
Around the outside of Alboreto these days. Well, it's got two names, isn't it? After the famous French driver. Italian driver. Oh my God, you murdered me.
That would be just. I don't think the Italians make a Chianti, Dean. I'm pretty sure that's only French.
Cut that off for a second. Sorry about that one, because Mappy's putting massive pressure on Elliot.
Yeah, and Callaway's gotten past him. So Callaway's gotten back into the lead. Court's now dropped some pace. And with 1 lap to go when we hit the line, well, there's not much time left for Elliot to get back at Callaway at the front of the field. So he's going to not
he's
try and
gone
get
deep.
real deep. And just bogged the pace. Oh, it's such a shame for Elliot. It's a simple mistake. So easy to do down there. One that a lot of drivers have made before, and Callaway played the smart game. He just kept it nice and clean, kept his line, and then popped on by as Sanchez wants to get this car onto the podium. As mentioned, the current championship leader on 116 points at the moment. He's got plenty of points in hand over Callaway to give Callaway the win in race number 1 this evening. But with 1 lap to go,
he's off the racing line.
He's looking pacey.
He went off the racing line to go into that corner because thinking of an overtake, but that's not the place you want to do it. You want to get the best exit speed you can, because that way you make your overtakes to turn 1. So that won't be the case for Elliot. But perhaps Matthew, who did get a good exit out of Alboreto, is going to have to sit and tuck in behind there. Think about it, the first and second Lesmo. Maybe the second Lesmo, sometimes you can get the overtake done. But,
you've got to, if you're going to do it through the second Lesmo, you've got to try and get your run through the first. Yes. So he needs to just tuck in now, get the run through the chicane. Again, carry some pace through the next right-hander, and then you can set yourself up for a move down the inside of the second Lesmo. But that's a tough spot in itself. I almost feel, especially with this gap that Matt has to Elliot, just get your run through these corners and try and do it at Ascari if you can. But I don't even think he's going to be able to get the run down to the corner.
No, not they're both deploying the energy as well too. So you see Elliot using it for defensive as well too, for the push to pass. And this is the most... well, there's your obviously overtake, but this is one of my fun sections of any track anywhere in the world, isn't it? To me, it's more grande than Baggets, Maggots, and Chapel. Ascari is just absolutely amazing, isn't it? You get it all hooked up right, it's brilliant. See, that just sticks the nose out, sends a dummy to Elliot, but Elliot's not going to fall for that one. You got to get a good exit, both cars. Fantastic exit on the run there, push the absolute limit out of the corner, and then that could be a run down into turn 1.
Well, it's not going to be because the checkered flag's out, and Jaden Callaway has taken the race win here in race number 1 this evening. Court takes P2 ahead of Matthew Devine for your top 3. The top 3 unchanged in that race. Sanchez got up 2 in that one to P4. Nick Pedersen, into the top 5. Mark Fairchild, James Turnbull, Leo Del Mar, Xavier Senna, and Michael Briscoe will make up our top 10 for race 1. Arturo Mayoga, Gale Rolls, Larry Johnson, Shaji Zerha, and Julian Medore with the other finishers of race number 1. Felipe Sarkis, AJ Brenner, Jace Meyer, Nicholas Isidro, non-finishing in race number 1.
I wonder if they're going to be practicing their starts. Let's go back to have a look really quickly what happened to this early incident. We'll see how much time we get before we'll switch over. But once again, did we talk about driver just slowing down and not finishing the lap? It's too late now. We have to speak. If you are drivers that are tuning in at the moment and you are plump last, just go as slow as you possibly can around the last lap so that it gives us a chance to go over those replays. Would be absolutely super. Thank you. There's your results from Heat 1.
Callaway takes the win ahead of Elliot Court. Matthew Devine, Fabian Sanchez finishing behind Nick Pedersen makes up the top 5. Those guys will be reversed for race number 2, with Pedersen lining up on the pole. Michael Fairchild, James Turnbull, Leo Del Mar, Xavier Cerna, and Michael Briscoe for your top 10. Arturo Mailga, Gale Rolls, Larry Johnson, Shaji Zerha, and Julian Madore made up our top 15. Our only finishers in the race, the non-finishers being Felipe Sarkis, who was unfortunately taken out on lap 1, not lap 1, but turn 1. AJ Brenner, who was involved in that incident, as well as Nick Meyer and Nicholas Asidra. Jace Meyer, sorry, not Nick Meyer, Jace Meyer and Nicholas Asidra at the back of the field. So, race 2 coming our way here, team. In a couple of moments' time, we've got a nice little 5-minute warm-up for these drivers, and then we're going racing for 26 laps of the Temple of Speed here at Monza.
Now's your time to go out there, gentlemen, to warm up for 5 minutes. Get your car on display. You're going to get all the camera time you want if you're the only one out at the moment. As Larry Johnson's in pit road. Nobody else. They've all gone at the back there to sign some autographs. You get in the cool down room, or if you're the likes of George Russell, go put like basically a refrigerator strapped to your chest. The Brits, mate. You know, anything that gets a bit hot, you're just like, I gotta cool down, mate. Just come and live in the outback of Australia for a while there, and you wouldn't have to worry about the heat. You see Oscar have a belly sweat? No.
Just go find a bin to fill with water and ice and sit it on the hottest day in England.
Yeah, there you go. Good. Hey, practice start from Michael Briscoe. Good job. Yeah. We like to see that from the drivers, and I tell you what. I think he's going to do a couple of them, but this is good because he's just had to move out of the way of the pit road so he didn't block anybody. Once again, getting the clutch point set that you could do in iRacing. You know this as a driver, don't you, mate? You can sit there and adjust your clutch bite point, isn't it? I think.
Yep. The bite point of the second clutch on the paddle. So that's the benefit of having a wheel with dual paddles, and actually being like an open wheeler style where you've got your gear shifting paddles, but then also you've got the secondary paddle on there. You can then obviously set your bite point on that hand paddle, and it's just a little bit easier than trying to use a pedal for your clutch. Now, obviously, some people will have both. They'll have a clutch pedal for other cars, but if you're racing in, well, the best example is probably the Australian supercar, ironically, Dean. You set the bite point on your hand clutch for the start of the race, but then you use the other clutch to actually change gears if you're able to heel toe whilst you're racing. So it just, you can use both for what you need, but yeah, just setting that bite point on the hand clutch is just that little bit easier to get your race starts done and dusted, especially in these open wheeler cars, which can be so tough to get started. And for the likes of Sarkis, who now has to try and get as well of a start as he can in race 2, I think he also needs to take a little bit of patience with him throughout this race, because realistically, when we're racing for 26 laps, we're going to be out here for roughly 30 or 40 minutes of racing for these drivers now. So there's plenty of time for him to make up. But that was a dangerous spot to do that practice start.
I was going to say a little bit further up, they're trying to do it behind. But see Felipe taking that turn 1, that was quite good, and I'm liking these drivers practicing their starts as well as doing some laps like that, so that you can practice your turn 1 braking point, because that's going to be key, of course, because all those cars, of course, is a bit different, isn't it, when you're by yourself on the track? But it's important to get a feel for the car again, and then get ready to stomp on those brakes, which you'd probably do at the breaker more at the 300 marker or something like that, I'd say, when you've got a stacked grid. Certainly interesting. We'll see if those drivers that have benefited by coming out and doing their practice starts will start good, actually, on the race, and perhaps make it stop in the turn 1 as well.
So do we think race 2 is going to be a bit more chaotic on that one, turn 1, Dean?
Very, very possible. See, another practice start here from Nick Peterson. Going to do a couple of them, as long as he's aware that there are nobody flying around that corner at the moment, which there isn't. Practicing it again. Good to see. Maybe, we got another driver as well. Maybe they have finally gotten the memo that we've been saying since the start of the season.
Yeah, get your practice starts in. You've got 5 minutes. Go do your go have your little refreshment break at the start, and then get out on track and do some practice starts.
There you go.
And get yourself prepared for race 2, because, well, with that reverse top 5, we've found Nick Pedersen on the top of the timing sheets here, at the top of the grid, for pole position, alongside Fabian Sanchez on the front row. Matt Devine will start ahead of Elliot Court and Jaden Callaway, who've had some incredible pace throughout race 1, so we'll see if that pays off for them here. The rest of the grid will start how they finished in race 1, including Michael Fairchild, James Turnbull, with Leo Dalmarfi at top 8, Xavier Sernav, Michael Briscoe the top 10, Arturo Mielga, Gail Rolls, Larry Johnson, Sharji Zerhart, Julian Medore, Felipe Sarkis, AJ Brenner, Jace Meyer, and Nicholas Isidro for the 19-car grid for race number 2. And I think for Pedersen, it's a smart move he was practicing his race starts, especially because he is starting on pole. He doesn't want to get eaten alive before turn 1. He wants to try and get a nice clean getaway, let the race come to him. If he gets eaten alive throughout the race proceedings, that's fine. He just does not want it to happen on lap 1, where he's at the highest risk of getting involved in an incident, or even dropping further and further through the field. As we're underway for race number 2, it was a good start from Sanchez there off the start. Pedersen has gone with him slightly, but not as good of a run as they scramble towards turn 1. Caught up the inside of Pedersen, already in towards the chicane, but they're going to go side by side. Can he get the run out the corner and down towards the next chicane, as we've survived lap 1, turn 1? Once again, this time by. Last race, we only had one driver in the wall through a mistake before we even got to the corner. As we run towards the chicane, we can see Pedersen is already starting to feel the pressure of the race start. He's got Callaway hot on his heels, then Devine, and then Fairchild and Turnbull chasing him down as well. But they've settled in here, as drivers taking a little bit of liberties with the off tracks through that corner there, but it's cancelling them out, it seems. As we run down towards Ascari, we can see that Sanchez has got some good pace at the front of the field. Court has gone with him, which is good to see. And then Pedersen, Callaway, and Devine still inside of the top 5 as well. But Callaway wants this move. He wants the podium, and he wants to chase down and continue this battle he's been having all day with Elliot Court at the front of the field. And, well, Sanchez will be just hoping he can run away from him and get himself a race win.
There's going to be trying to break because the overtaking opportunity is going to be 2 for now. In fact, some drivers are looking to overtake before we even get into turn 1, but we'll go back up the sharp end. James got through on Nick, but Nick can fight back at the moment. That's the thing. You don't want to be overtaken too quickly, because you certainly can fight your way back there. But challenge for the lead here. Fabian Sanchez and Elliot into turn 1. We've seen these shenanigans before. Can they get through cleanly? Because we have 25 laps to go, gentlemen, still. Does it? Elliot does it. The textbook overtake. Well done.
It was a good overtake there. Plenty of room given from Sanchez. He didn't want to battle it too hard. We're only on lap 2 of 26. Plenty of racing to go. As Isidro and Rolls have had a moment through turn 1, and one of them has lost their left-hand side air intake off the car. So it's been a moment between both of them into turn 1. So let's see how this is materialised. So Isidro gets a good gain under brakes, then for whatever reason backs off.
Ooh.
And then clips the front of Roll's car, rolls around, and there's a front wing lost, and there's a side pod lost as well. So as we can see, Sarkis has been in the wars too. He is struggling at the back of the
field.
field.
To start the race too. Got kicked back to pit road. So
yeah,
maybe some technical issues creeping in. Good exit out of Ascari there from Callaway. That should be job done by the time you get to Alberto. This is going to stay on the racing line and stay defensive. Now see whether or not Sanchez can fight back into turn 1 now.
I mean, Fabian's smart. He doesn't want to battle this too early. I mean, we saw how easy he gave it up to Court, into turn 1. He's smart enough to know he leads the championship. He does not want to risk his championship lead by fighting too early in this race and risking his car. It's these cars especially, and in this league with no fast repairs, it is all about risk management. And for Sanchez, he's one of the best risk managers in the game. We've seen how well he's risk managed all season and how he's kept himself nice, clean, and consistent. Other drivers have risk managed brilliantly, but they've been in wrong place, wrong time. So he's had the perfect balance of consistency alongside, the good side of Lady Luck as Devine gets past Pedersen. It was very, very close as Turnbull's off the road down there as well. And he's hard into the wall here, Dean. You see the debris that was flying off some of those cars. What has happened to James Turnbull? He rode it round. And that's where the rear wing came off for Sharjah Zerha up ahead, who's actually now gone off the road thanks to the lack of rear wing. So
it's all happening.
It is all happening. So he lost that rear wing in the run through the second chicane, and then now he's got himself what looks like an oval aero IndyCar.
Now, granted, you do run the lowest rear wing, of course, around here in the Temple of Speed, but you still need a little bit of that downforce, and on top of it, you can't be. It looked like he was flying into the Lesmo as if you had a rear wing. So, you've got to take that cautiously and just slowly drive the car back into pit road and get that fixed. No fast repairs, so you won't be sitting in there for some time. So we have Rolls, Sajar, and Nicholas all down in pit road at the moment.
Yeah, they're all down in pit lane getting their cars worked on. We'll see if their race will continue or not. But this battle is looking to fire up further back in the field. This is Michael Fairchild trying to get the job done on Nick Pedersen for your top 5. Can he get it down the inside? Barely any room left, but he got it through. And I think for Nick, he obviously doesn't want to give up these positions, but he doesn't want to fight them too hard, either. He wants to try and maintain this top 10 if he can, but he needs to try and get out of his own head here and just get into his rhythm, get his pace set. He may be banking some overtake at this point to save for later in the race. That's one of the other strategy plays.
That's true.
One of the keys to this race for these drivers is saving the overtake. This is one of the hardest tracks to save overtake because because it's so high speed. You'll try and use it, but the other driver will then use it to defend, and you cannot get an overtake done because obviously this track relies on DRS or slipstream in Formula 1 cars and Formula 2 cars at least, where the DRS allows you to get the moves done in towards turn 1 and even into the parabolica.
But look at this. Pausing the car off the track almost, and that to get around. Jaden's just got to nose ahead. He's going to have the racing line. They're going to have a good drag out of the corner at turn 2. Fantastic racing between the two. Elliot's not going to want to yield this one up there. Jaden's going to fight tooth and nail for it early on this one. So they're not waiting to play the long game, my friend. They are going fast and furious.
Yeah, they don't want to wait, but Elliot would not want to be battling this at the moment. He wants to try and keep this car at the very front of the field as the sun, for whatever reason, has now decided to disappear off our screen. So we've got a bit of cloud cover here.
Melbourne weather kicking in at the moment. Yeah, exactly. Or London weather.
Yeah, London weather. A bit of cloud coverage here for Monza as we run down towards Ascari. Callaway's hot on the heels of Court. Sanchez is still in there too. Devine and Fairchild for your top 5.
I was going to say, good he backed off there because I don't think you should be doing any overtaking through Ascari, my friend.
No.
I've seen that before, and then I've seen the medical chopper deployed immediately.
We've also seen a multitude of moments that have happened through there. I recall back to Lance Stroll complaining about a driver pulling out in front of him.
Lance Stroll in the same sentence?
Yeah, well, he complained about a driver pulling out and turning him around, and then he did the exact same thing after complaining about that to Pierre Gasly.
The window liquor is because he's
call the kettle black. See how it works out for you, Lance.
This goes again, my friend. This is not a replay. This is the same situation, but Elliot got a better exit then.
The issue is for Jaden, because Elliot's covering the inside line at the first part of the chicane, the better run you can get when you are defending there is on the outside line at the left-hander. So Elliot not only is defending the easier pass opportunity up the inside at the first part of the chicane, but he's then defending the position of the track where he gets the better run out of the corner to then get the run down the straight and in through the fast right-hander. So it's a tough job now for Callaway because he can't get past trying to do the same thing over and over again. He's got to try and figure out a way to get this done. His best opportunity the whole race has been turn 1. He's not able to get the run up towards Ascari. He's not able to get it done into the second chicane either because he ruins his run by trying to get it down the inside at the second part of the chicane. So for Court, he actually sits pretty comfortably at the moment. If he just continues defending how he is into turn 1, he cuts out pretty much 2 of the other passing opportunities around this track, which they're the only 2 once you're at full racing speed. So for him, he's in a comfortable spot, and Jaden eventually will realise, and he'll click as like, okay, let's not go for this just yet. Let's just sit back. Let's save some fuel, save some overtake. As Brenner he is in the fast-paced run of his life at the moment, further back.
I thought he got caught in the dirty air on that corner, actually, and probably threw the car off a little bit. But that's I'd say, clever overtaking there. Do you see how he was patient at a parabolica? He just thought, okay, I'll just bite my time. I don't need to send it up the inside on that one. I'm going to go off the racing line. I'll scrub speed going into turn 1 and had the great exit. You're just 1/10 to 2/10, 1/10 to 2/10 off the driver. By the time you exit Alboreto, then you've got a great opportunity to turn 1. So that's classically how you get it done.
Yeah, and it was a quality move from AJ that time, but I definitely learnt from the previous race's mistake into turn 1, which we love to see. And you'll notice as well, so I was watching Callaway whilst that battle was happening too. He didn't go for the move at turn 1 this time. He decided to just wait, just be a little bit patient and wait for a better opportunity. And the point I was trying to make before is, if he clues in, he's probably better just sitting here, saving the fuel, saving the overtake behind Elliott, saving some tyres, because realistically he's not getting forced into the front of Sanchez's car and behind. They're maintaining gap at the moment. They've got the lap pace over Sanchez. So if he stays here and waits till his pit stop, he could still get some benefit out of this, because Court is going to cover the inside line every single time, every day of the week, every time he goes to the move into turn 1, and he's never going to get the overtake, because even if he goes for switchback, if Court just runs his regular racing line, he's never going to get through. So he just needs to maybe just think about a different approach now, and a more conservative approach at this point of the race, because eventually, if he gets into his own head, he's going to try and push through hard, as he wants the outside line on Court at the next chicane. Can he get this done? Inside line of the next part? Can't. No. Court carries the speed, and here comes Fabian Sanchez. So this is now like, he's hungry to get the overtake done, but he's putting himself in risk of dropping back and getting into the clutches of Sanchez and Devine, who are chasing him down and are just biding their time.
He tried to pull an Oscar on Lando Norris on that move. We also that one last year in Monza. Didn't quite pay off and did cost, but Callaway once again is back up into the gearbox almost. There are Elliott there as they slowly drop Matthew and Fabian lurking around the background. So fantastic. Bremer's now up 11. You got to give it to this driver here from the United States of America. The number 80 car is on the back of the Colombian, and he's looking to make it number 12 so far. Slicing and dicing through the field. Look how close it is on the exit. That should be a fantastic run to turn 1 at the temple of speed. Let's see if AJ can get another OT done.
He wants to try and get this job into turn 1, but he doesn't want to push it too hard if he can. He looks for it up the inside. Looks to get it done before the braking zone. This has been his favourite passing opportunity the whole race. Job done for AJ Brenner on Fairchild. We'll see if he comes back at him here.
Fairchild!
Fairchild in one of the... Oh, that is one of the wildest crashes we have seen.
Wow.
That there, fast-paced, high-intensity, high drama. Well, how has he done that?
He's just absolutely hit the loud pedal, and the rear's just completely gone on him for sure. I'm just going to slow this down for a second. We'll have a look at the cockpit view. All right. Yeah, see?
Yeah.
The rear's just slipped and no grip out there. Remember, there's a lot of kitty litter that's being kicked up there. And he had I think he had the Wario on his helmet. So he'll be worried. So that the worry, you know what it is? That, they've slipped one of those banana peels on the corner there, hasn't it? It's straight off.
Well, AJ Brenner has used the bullet bill to his advantage of running his way up the field, and he now is inside of the top 5. But as Court runs around the parabolica, if you're going to throw out Mario Kart references, Dean, I'll do it too.
All right. That's what it was Mario Kart. You want to get that bullet. You want to catch that bullet, don't you?
Yep.
That's the one. Just bump the cars off the road. Here we go. Once again.
As Callaway wants it round the outside at turn 1. He needs to try and get the run if he can. He's trying to force him off the road. Callaway, job done on Elliott Court. He had to. It wasn't pretty, Dean. It was definitely ugly, but he got the job done in the end, and that's all that matters. Doesn't matter how it looks,
Elliott's fighting
as long as you get the move. But he wants the move back again. Does Elliott Court in towards the second chicane? Has to back out of it.
Just experimenting with a couple of different cameras, because sometimes those cameras just don't capture the action as much, so we get our little high performance drone out there and try to capture the action closer to you. Plus those trees get in the way too, so get the chainsaw out. Let's chop those trees down, which we can in the virtual world. You know that, iRacing. You can chop the trees. Give us the option, so they're not blocking it, so we can use these external cameras like this. See, but trees are in the way.
As we run through Ascari, we can see Court chasing down Callaway still. Devine has been the fastest man on track the last few laps. He sets another fast lap of the race of 129.05, but he's using a lot of his overtake to get those lap times, where Court and Callaway have been banking it in the last few laps. I feel Callaway may have used it to his advantage. He caught the dummy to absolute perfection. Did Elliott Court. He caught the dummy, to pardon the pun, and now he's going to look for an inside line through turn 1. Callaway tried to dummy him into pit lane. Court knew that that's what he was doing.
Oh, wow.
And now Court is going to take back the lead on his preferred line through turn 1, 2. Elliott Court back into the lead of the race. So they're trying to use anything they can. If they had headlights, they'd be flashing, because they'd be trying to put each of them off as much as possible. And maybe that got into the head of Jaden Callaway a little bit. I mean, I think he knew, because he moved to the right-hand side of track to go into pit lane and then darted back out again. He couldn't really defend the inside line once again, because he used 2 moves, and it's kind of goes against the sportsmanship rules of doing more than 2 blocking moves. So he kind of just had to give it up in the end, as Devine is trying to get the job done on Sanchez, who got back past him now. But man, oh man, it's getting tooth and nail.
Deep through there, yeah.
Yeah, very deep, very, very deep. I mean, they're trying to pull every trick out of the book that they can, whether it's dirty or whether it's clean, to try and hold on to the win. And that's how intense it is, and that's how hungry they are for the race win, Dean. They don't want to give it up.
Noddy's calling it dirty.
Yeah, he is. Yep. It might be dirty, but it is a tactic that drivers use. I think I'm okay with them doing the dummy pit entry. Yeah, that's fine. I don't like it when a teammate who's a lap down will try and hold up a driver to help their teammate. I don't like it when that happens. That there is just that's really unsportsmanlike. As Court is, he's still been able to hold on to it.
I think they've actually crossed the line to say you're entering the pit lane as well too. That's probably a no-no, because you're not supposed to do that, are you? Because that's what that line's there. That's to say, okay, once you're in there, you're into pit lane or you're not. It's the same thing on the exit of pit lane with those lines that you're not supposed to cross. They always mention so much in Formula 1. Geez, Formula 1, you put half a tyre on that one, and they're on the other teams on the radio going, he crossed the line, like they tried to do with Lando, I think, in the last race. You know, of course, there's multi-million dollars up for stakes. These drivers doing it more for the pride of iRacing.
Well, how much is your pride worth? That's the question. How much is your pride worth?
Here we go.
As Callaway wants at the inside of Ascari. Can he get this done? Court's had to run it right across the corner. He was wrestled out.
They both have.
Yep, they both have had a slowdown. So there'll be a big slowdown for Court, which means Sanchez is going to be able to get past him before the Parabolica. So how quickly it can change as they both went off track. Both copped a slowdown. And Sanchez has now gone into the lead. So we've got a absolutely fantastic little fatal 4-way battle at the front of the field here, Dean, as he runs towards turn 1.
This is going to be
And I think Devine's come to pit lane. Devine's he made the smart choice. Yes. He came into pit lane. He got out of it. And he's going to try and undercut them as Callaway wants to run in towards turn 1. But here comes Court up the inside.
Oof.
Oh, there's a big knot, though, from the tyres. He ran it very wide, forced the unsettlement, I should say, of Elliott Court's car, and now Sanchez wants to come back at him. So I mean, it's not been the cleanest of battles, Dean, but this is arguably one of the best that we've seen all season long. I mean, this has been back and forth throughout the whole race thus far. And now that we've hit the halfway mark, we have to wonder, well, when does the pit strategy come into play? When do you come in? Does Court try and fake out Callaway by coming in at the last minute? Although he wants to try and take the race lead, so could Callaway do it to him and just fake him out and just dart into pit lane at the very last moment, or can Sanchez do it to both of them?
Well, it depends on the exit, of course, from Alberto that's coming up very, very soon. So let's get to see. Elliot's in the seat where he can make that decision first. I think that was very, very clever too before from the other driver, of course, that was in the mix there to jump in, because 3 into 1 wasn't going to work. I was surprised that we didn't have a prang.
Yeah, I'm very surprised. Well, we got the minor prang, which I think was more or less tactical.
They're not coming in.
No, they're not coming in this time. So they're going to keep going. But that was smart from Devine. Just get out of it, race your own race. Yeah. And again, risk manage. He saw how feisty they were getting. He knew how risky it was to stay in the battle. He pulled out of it. He put himself into a smarter position. But now, unfortunately, he's further back and stuck in a battle with Arturo Mayorga and AJ Brenner. So the more that he battles with those guys, the worse it's going to get for him, because he's then going to drop time and drop back further behind these drivers here at the front of the field. But for Court and Callaway, they have swapped and changed positions every single lap, and Callaway's gotten him back again at the chicane. But here comes Court, one of the inside line, couldn't quite get it. But I mean, they're going back and forth more so than the stock market rises and drops here, Dean. I mean, they are not giving this up. It is as intense as it gets. It's probably as fun as it gets for these drivers. I'm sure they're having a grand old time battling this out. That's all you want as a driver, is to have a nice, intense battle. But for Devine, he gets it done on Mayorga. So I think Arturo knows that Matt has pitted. He doesn't want to hold him up and just lets him go. So that's a very, very gentlemanly thing there from Arturo, just to let Matty pass and let him run up the field towards Julian Maduro.
It's a gentleman agreement too, as AJ's just got past as well too of Arturo. So, and they've had their pit stops, of course. AJ has had his pit stop once again. Let's see if we're going to have it again. Of course, yes, we will. We know these drivers are going to want to go at it. 2 for now. Fabian sitting there on the hot seat going, all right, guys. If I was Fabian, I'd do that thing. I would sit back a little bit, because they do come in to contact. He'll have just enough reaction time to avoid a prang himself.
Well, the more that they're battling, and the more they get into these sorts of, highly contested areas, not only does the pressure meter go up, Dean, but the percentage of them having a crash goes up as well. So the more that they push these limits, and they push there it is, right there. There's the contact. So we said it would happen. That the more that they get into these little moments, the more frustrated they get, the more flustered they get, the more likely it is that a contact is going to happen. And that is exactly what has happened with Elliot Court and Jaden Callaway. Now, I'm not sure on the lines of how he would get reprimanded for that moment there, because he doesn't seem to be far enough up.
Yeah, that's true.
And he's not far enough up alongside, so I'm not sure how the reprimand system works in League Zero, if he would cop a penalty in the race, or if it would be a post-race scenario, or how they review it. I'm unsure, but if it was, talking from experience, if it was my league, they would review it then and now, and he would probably get a drive-through penalty, but they'd also then go through every single angle, and they may find that Elliot was at fault. I don't know.
Look at this. It's exactly what I said too from Fabian. He was back just enough.
Yeah.
Just enough time to react to that accident. Now, if he was right on that tailpipe, I think he would have been in to the back there of Elliot. So.
He would have. No doubt about it. No doubt about it in my mind. He played the smart play of hanging back, and he's got a championship to think about. He's got to think from his championship perspective. He leads the title race. He doesn't want to end up getting caught out in someone else's drama. So, not easy even said in the chat there. D-Base just said silly from Jaden there, and I agree. It was that was not worth it. He's been getting frustrated the whole race trying to get this move done, and he's just not far enough up on him. I mean, that's the problem. You go for a move down the inside of the chicane, your car has to be alongside. You cannot be only one wheel up on him. It's not far enough up to get that move done. So. However the reprimand happens, I don't know how it happens, but I would suspect that Callaway will have some sort of penalty coming his way, whether it's a points penalty or a time penalty, or if they do it mid-race, I would say it's probably going to be a drive-through, but I don't know how they fulfill that, being that they don't have live safety car.
Fabian's the spanner in the mix on that one, because if Fabian wasn't there, you would think that maybe it'd be a redress. Callaway might have said, "Okay, I'll just slow down. We'll re-rack it. We'll restack it. We'll try it again. Go side by side and then just launch it."
He might do it later in the race.
He could do it later in the race. We've got pit stops, of course, for the top 4 coming up, so we'll see how that pans out. If I was Elliot, I probably would be thinking about that pit stop soon, isn't it? Get it over and done with. See how yourself come out. If you've got some clean air there and put some banker laps in, I don't know. The
problem now for Elliot is he's going to lose time to Matt Devine, and he's going to drop position to him for already coming through pit lane. So for him now, he now needs to go as long as possible whilst he has that 2 seconds of clean air, just to build up any gap that he possibly can to try and keep the car either ahead of Matt or keep himself within the maybe 1 car length position of Matt as well. So for him now, he needs to try and push on and just get to the point where he can, probably just run the tank drive pretty much to get it through. Sarkis up the inside gets that job done on Xavier Cernat. So that's a good move there from Sarkis. He's been on the comeback train all race. Back inside the top 10 now, though, as Leo Delmar as well, up a position. He's in behind AJ Brenner at the moment. So Brenner trying to pull him forward at this point of the race. The only 4 drivers not to pit are the top 4 at the moment. Julian Madore, Elliot Court, Fabian Sanchez and Jaden Callaway at the front of the field.
Yeah, Julian up 11 positions as well too, which will drop a couple after those pit stops. But we're going to give it to the Canadian, that's doing a solid job.
He's probably going to end up back with Sarkis and Cernat, roughly around about the back end of the top 10, maybe just outside. He's definitely not going to drop back to Arturo or Jace. Really nice, it's a great looking car. Yeah, it's a great looking livery.
Good job there, Julian, on that livery. You look at it from different angles, and it gives a little bit of a sparkle of different colours, of course. Got the Trading Pates promotion on the back green wing. Good to show you, because we don't always show you, Julian. You're not always in the walls with the other drivers necessarily, but doing your own thing is also a good thing sometimes if you don't even get the car. There's usually if you're out leading a race so much, you never get the camera pointed on you until the last lap, but some of the drivers just quietly get out there and chip away and get some points. Well, Callaway's got to be wondering about a what-if situation, isn't it? Maybe if him talking to race control or something and saying, well, how are we going to manage this situation? Will post-race penalty coming or not? Of course, if it was Formula 1, they'd be just nothing but yapping on the radios all along. But that's because, once again, they're instructed by the teams to never admit to guilt. And
to be fair, if it was Formula 1, Dean, Elliott would probably get the drive-through.
Yes. You mean... you mean the other way around?
Yeah. If it was Formula 1, they'd probably give the drive-through to Elliott or...
They both ran off that track too on that lap earlier, wasn't it? When they both came off.
Yeah, they both... I don't know if they made contact or Elliott was taking evasive action. Yeah, Fabian's in. So
oh my God, look at these cameras.
For Court... he just now that he has even more clean air, he just needs to keep on pushing. He needs to keep on pushing and pumping out laps and just go as long as he can on this tank. Now, if this next lap is the last that they can go, well, unfortunately for him, he's going to give up the time to Devine and he's going to drop behind Devine. Does Sanchez drop below him though? I think he does. He's only just exiting pits now, and Devine has already gotten past him. So Matt may be on here for the lead of the race.
Yeah, if he can
he's come out. He's come out 6 seconds ahead of Sanchez, so he could be on here for the lead actually when Callaway comes in, especially after that contact. Very interesting how this can play out, and that smart play of Devine to just get out of that little three-way battle that it turned into, and stay out of the issue and make it a non-issue, has been a very smart move from him, and this now could be a race-winning move that he's pulled off for himself as well.
14.4. Remember, it's going to be a little bit more of a pit stop, but it shows you there it's 34.4 overall. It's a 7.22 second stationary. That's about the average that these drivers are going to be doing. So keep your eyes peeled on whether that one. It's not going to work out perfectly, but Callaway's in.
Yep, Jaden is in. Elliot is going for another lap, so he wants to push on and try and build this gap as much as possible over Matt Devine.
Where's Matthew?
He is coming down towards the Parabolica.
This is going to be close.
So Callaway's in. It's going to be very close, but I think he's going to get him based on the speed he's going to be carrying down the straight.
Yep.
It's going to be tight, but he's going to have the pace down the straight here, because you've got to remember Callaway's going to be coming from 0 to 100 fairly quickly. Here comes Devine, and he gets him before turn 1. So that's paid off brilliantly there for Matt Devine. So he is now the provisional leader of this race, as he's gotten Callaway by about 2 seconds. And you'd have to argue that contact possibly could have cost Callaway the lead of this race, quite possibly.
Well, the fighting as well, too. Remember, they're going for it 2 for now. And usually when you're fighting, you're not doing your fastest laps because you're too busy squabbling around for those positions, and you're going off the racing line to try to challenge the other drivers, as you can see. Whereas if you buy yourself on the track that Matthew had been, he can just put in qualifying laps after qualifying. He's got nobody else. He did have to get past a couple of cars, obviously.
He had to get past Arturo, but Arturo let him go because he knew that he was on a different strategy. So, iRacing needs to use his push to pass now, use the hot tyres, exactly. So, for Jaden, he has to use his banked push to pass. Devine needs to use it to try and build this gap. Yeah. I have a feeling that as Court comes in, I have a feeling that Devine may have been using it already, like quite a fair bit across that little portion of the race between his pit stop and Jaden's, just to chase down any of the gap that he had. So with Court now in pit lane, Matt Devine will look to take the lead. I don't think Julian Medore has come in. He has stayed out for another lap to lead a lap. So Court's in. Devine sets the fastest lap of the race, 128.54. Out comes Court. He's, of course, going to come out behind Callaway. Sanchez has been the bigger loser out of all this because Brenner's ended up getting past him through it all.
Yes.
And into P5. And
he's got to get past AJ as well. That's been absolutely flying as well, too. Remember, AJ up 12. So, AJ's not going to be an easy driver. And
he won't.
Yeah, to overtake at all. So we'll see how that pans out. So Julian's just the last one to come in. On the last lap, Matthew did set the fastest lap too. So using that pass there with the warm tyres, as mentioned, Noddy knows what to do.
Yeah, he knows. Use the tyres that are up to temperature.
Oh, Sanchez might be getting past AJ, my friend. I might have said it. Might be wrong on that one.
No, he's not quite able to get it through the Lesmos just yet. But he wants the move. This is letting Leo Del Mar get into this battle now as well. So the important thing is, Sanchez will still, if he stays where he is, he'll still lead the championship. He'll still leave Monza as the championship leader. Callaway will gain on him though, and I feel may actually overtake a Mel in the standings. So this is now becoming an even tighter championship battle, and an even tighter race to the championship. And with only 4 rounds to go past this race, it's getting down to the real nitty and gritty now. It is getting down to the point of drivers have now got to try and maximize any points they can throughout this season. And for Callaway, well, it hasn't ended poorly for him tonight through some of that battling. It may cause him to get a penalty. Again, we don't know. But those sorts of moments, those sorts of moves are what can actually cost you a championship. I've seen it time and time again, where you're getting into such an intense battle and then you don't take a break from it and you end up crashing, just like we saw. The percentage eventually gets to the point of you're 100% guaranteed to crash, and it costs you. And that's then where you need to change your approach and how you approach this battle. Medore's gone another lap, by the way. He has stayed out again. So he's got Devine right on his tail, as Sanchez is hot on the tail of AJ Brenner as well for P5. So you got to think about it. You've got Julian's 4 rounds left. He's going to have to, yeah. So you've got 4 rounds left. I know you're battling for a championship, but you're not battling against Elliott for it. You're battling against the guy who's behind you for it. But, I understand you want to try and gain points, but you're halfway through a race. What's the point in trying to take the lead? You're not going to win it on the next lap.
You try to tell, once again, you can't tell racing drivers not to race because they want to race.
I know, but
it's certainly entertaining for us to watch.
It is. I feel like saying that though, Dean, gives them an excuse. I feel like that gives them an excuse. Well,
it's their championship to throw away, my friend, as Julian does finally come in.
It's very true. It's very, very true. Medore's come in. And not even said Madore costing Devine time here. Well, he's let him go, which is good. So, but Court has got pace. He has just set the fast lap of the race, 128.15. So he started to unlock that push to pass as Sanchez is trying to get this job done on AJ Brenner into turn 1-2, and he just can't quite get there.
I got a feeling now if Fabian has a cool head on his shoulders, which we believe he does. He won't risk it for the biscuit too much on this one. He'll just see. He'll force AJ into a mistake, perhaps.
He'll walk through the door if it's held open for him.
Oh, and there it is.
Oh, I don't know if there was contact or not, or if the contact came from the move already from Brenner. Like if he lost it and then there was contact made, but that's definitely a moment there for.
I think so.
I don't know if he may have made contact on the way through as he went round. So let's watch this. So Sanchez wanted it.
No, he lost it on the braking.
Yeah, no, he lost it on his own. Did Sanchez make contact? No, he didn't. No. So that's paid out well for Sanchez. Didn't cost him, cost him a slowdown, but it didn't cost him any damage. And that's the important part, is his car was not damaged through that exchange, and his car is still nice and clean. Michael Briscoe, though, up to P6. He's up 4 positions in this race, as Pedersen is trying to push hard to make up anything that he's lost here tonight. He's down 6 at the moment in P7, but still the top 10 on the cards for him. With only a few laps to go, we've just started lap 24 for our race leader, Matt Devine. We've got 3 left for Jaden Callaway to come back at him here. We've seen how intensely he's been battling for the race lead. This is now the point of the race where you try and battle intensely for the race win. This is now, you've had to try and buy a ticket. He's gone through scalpers to try and get his ticket to the end of the race, and he's somehow found something. But he is at the end of the race, and he's battling for the race win, but he's got to make up just about a second of time to get past Matt Devine, and that's going to be a tough job in itself. He did set the fast lap of the race, did Jaden Callaway, a 127.75 on the last lap.
Yeah,
but he needs to push. He needs to push and continue to chase down Devine. Now, Devine may be banking some of that push to pass on this lap just to try and save the run on the last lap, maybe go for a full push lap of push to pass, but if he's saved up roughly 90 seconds worth, he'll get a full lap in with the push to pass on that car.
Yeah, that's true. And we'll see a little bit of cooldown there from Jaden. Matthew did use a little bit before. There he's using it again now.
He is to build up. I wonder how much he's got left. He hasn't got enough left for a whole lap. He definitely used it in that period of time between his pit stop and Jaden's, for sure. He used it during that period to try and close the gap. It's clever,
because look
but
at
now he's going to have no defense on the last lap. That's the issue. So we've got 2 to go. He needs this lap to be a banker lap. He needs to bank that push to pass now. He cannot waste it on this second to last lap. He's going to need it. Realistically, Dean, he's going to need it up towards at least until Ascari. He can't waste it prior to the final lap, and he'll need it for the run to Ascari. If he can hold out and stay ahead of him through Ascari and up towards Parabolka, he'll be fine.
Felipe he'll be fine. Just getting past Nick, so good damage recovery, you'd have to say, there for the Brazilian driver. As you can see, the big gaggle of cars having a nice little battle, but we're going to have to switch it up to the front there because we want to see whether or not Jaden Callaway can...
How much has Jaden got?
We don't know yet, because he was in a cooldown. He's going to have to start deploying it soon if he does have any left. It's not orange or red light at the top.
I feel whatever he's got, he's going to save for this last lap. Whatever he's got, he is going to go tooth and nail, full bore, final lap run. He is going to go for a full push, and that's what he wants.
You've got to deploy it now.
Yeah, he's got to deploy now. If he wants this move, he needs to deploy now and get this into turn 1. Otherwise, he's going to have to force himself to try and use it through the Lesmos and down towards Ascari.
Yep, there it is. And so he's got enough for this last lap.
He's got 74 seconds, so he's got enough for the majority of the lap. So he's going to use... He's probably got enough to get him to Ascari, so he's going to use this now, I would say, for the whole lap. There he is. But Matt is going to try and cover that inside line. Here comes Callaway outside at turn 1. Final lap dash for Jaden Callaway with the overtake on. How much has Matt got in the tank? 49 seconds and counting of deployment for Jaden Callaway. Outside line for him now on Matt Devine. Has Matt got anything left?
I don't think Matt does.
He hasn't got any. He hasn't got any left. He's used it all. He can't come back at him. He's got none. So this is now Callaway's to lose.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he's trying to burn it as well. So this is Elliott's to lose. Unfortunately for Matt, he used just a little bit too much in that defense and should have saved it for the last lap. And that's the issue. Oh, Michael getting a bit close. So that's unfortunate though for Matt. He had a great run. He had the win, but yeah, just using that last little bit of deployment at the wrong time, I feel. He should have just saved it for that last lap.
I think you're right on that one. I kind of thought it might have been clever to use it to build the gap and maybe just brought yourself enough time, but just one lap too soon, you'd say on that one, isn't it?
It was a fair
learning lessons. But still, you've got to give it to Matthew. That pit stop strategy paid off, didn't it? But Jaden Callaway will get the race win, barring, of course, those maybe upcoming penalty on that situation later on. But it's not us. We're not the stewards. We just call the action.
We're not the stewards. We're calling it as we see it. As Devine comes home P2, fastest lap goes to Elliott Court.
Yeah,
127.59 on the last lap. Sanchez will come home in P4 as he crosses the line. Nick Pedersen makes his way back inside of the top 5 at 2 P5s in a row. Here at Monza for him and a great effort. Leo Delmar, Felipe Sarkis up 9 into P7. Michael Briscoe, AJ Brenner, and Xavier Sernar will make up the top 10 with Julian Medore, Jace Myra, and Arturo Mayorga, the 13 cars who finished in race number 2. But for Jaden Callaway, it's a race win. Possibly with an asterisk above it, I don't know. We'll find out how the league admin or however they determine penalties get applied. And Matt Devine, P2, with Elliott Court on your podium, Fabian Sanchez and Nick Pedersen, your top 5. So for Callaway, he survived this time. He was a very intense battle with Elliott Court that eventually came together. You know, you try something so many times, eventually it's going to blow up in your face.
Yeah.
And it did. Whether that's cost Jaden the win, unsure. But for Devine, great race. Fantastic race from him. Great strategy. Nearly got him a race win. A couple of little things he could have done better, like when he deployed the overtake and stuff like that. But irregardless, it's still a podium for him. We can see Elliott Court got it onto the podium in a great race for him. Fabian Sanchez will still lead the championship. Nick Pedersen inside of your top 5. Leo Delmar, Felipe Sarkis, Michael Briscoe, AJ Brenner and Xavier Sernar for your top 10. Julian Medore, Jace Meyer and Arturo Mayorga will make up the 13 cars who finished this race. Michael Fairchild, James Turnbull, Larry Johnson, Gail Rolls, Nicholas Isidro and Saji Zerha, the non-finishers in race number 2. But we appreciate everyone's time. Appreciate you all being here with us once again for the League Zero Formula Series, around 6 out at Autodromo Nazionale Monza here this evening. Next week we'll be going racing at Phillip Island for round 7 of the series for May 1st. So we hope to see you all there with us, racing with us once again. We're getting into the nitty-gritty of this championship. Will Amel be back on track for Phillip Island to put the pressure on Sanchez? Or will Sanchez gain on him once again? Could Callaway gain some crucial points and get himself in the title race? We'll have to wait and see next week. Big thank you to their series sponsor, Inca Salsa, for supporting the series, as well as MSR Performance Engineering, Critical Video, and Goon Squad as well. I've been Hamish Munro with Dean Biggles alongside. Appreciate everybody's time. Appreciate you being here with us. Be sure to hit the like button and subscribe. The bell icon as well, so you're notified whenever we go racing on JP Broadcasting with a world tour of racing series across a multitude of sims. There'll be something here for you, I'm very, very sure. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for being here with us. See you guys next week at Phillip Island for round 7. But until then, stay safe, drive hard, and as always, bye for now.